Okay, so in the world of real estate, something massive just happened, an absolute earthquake. Two giants, Compass and Anywhere, have merged, and they've created this new titan that's, well, it's set to reshape the whole industry. But you gotta ask, is bigger really better? Let's dive in.
On the surface, the logic kind of makes sense, right? You take some of the biggest names in the game, you mash them together, and boom, unrivaled scale, all that synergy talk. But while they might be celebrating this massive new footprint, let's just say not everyone is popping the champagne.
In fact, the CEO of one of their biggest competitors came out with a pretty scathing critique. He just calls the whole thing a mess, straight up. So why? What's behind such a harsh take? And what does he think this new giant is getting so fundamentally wrong?
All right, so first things first, let's break down what this merger actually is. This isn't just, two companies shaking hands. No, this is a fusion of two massive portfolios. We're talking about an entity that's a size we've just never seen before in the brokerage world. To really get a feel for the scale here, just think about this number. 350,000. So what is that? Well, that's how many agents are now working under this one single roof. I mean, that's a workforce the size of a decent-sized city. It gives this new company an absolutely enormous presence in the market. And these agents, they're coming from a whole universe of really well-known brands. You've got Compass, Sotheby's, Corcoran, Century 21, the list goes on. Now, on one hand, that creates a super powerful network. But on the other, it raises a huge question. And that question is really at the heart of the biggest criticism of this whole deal. And that brings us to Michael Leibowitz. He's the CEO of Douglas Elliman, a huge competitor, especially in that high-end luxury market. And let's just say he is not impressed by the size of this new giant. In fact, he thinks its massive scale is actually its biggest weakness.
Yeah, Leibowitz does not mince words. He calls the whole thing a mess. And look, this isn't just him taking a cheap shot at a competitor. No, it's a direct challenge to the entire strategy, the whole philosophy behind this merger. And this gets right to the heart of his argument, brand dilution. I mean, think about it. You take a super high-end luxury brand like Sotheby's, and you put it under the same corporate roof as a more mainstream one like Century 21. What does that new company even stand for? He's basically saying it's totally lost its identity. And his concerns are pretty specific. He's raising red flags about potential antitrust issues and how this could negatively impact both consumers and agents. He's also kind of suspicious about the real reasons behind the deal, thinking it might be more about financial pressure, like Anywhere's debt and Compass's whole grow-at-all-costs model, than about good business. And he even takes a shot at their idea of private listings. When you're sharing them with 350,000 agents, he's like, what's so private about that? It's a fair point.
So what this all boils down to is a clash of two totally different ways of doing business. On one side, you have a massive bet on scale, on being the biggest. And on the other, you have a bet on specialization, on quality.
And Leibowitz has this great analogy for it. He calls the new mega firm the mall. It's huge, it's focused on quantity, it's carrying a ton of debt, and it's got all these different brands crammed together. By contrast, he pitches his own firm, Douglas Elliman, as the boutique. It's focused on quality, it has one strong luxury brand, and, this is key, it has zero corporate debt. That gives them a lot more freedom to move in a market like this.
And just look at this chart. It really shows you the difference. It's night and day. On one side, you've got the new giant with 350,000 agents, and on the other, Douglas Elliman with just 6,500. It's a total David versus Goliath situation. But the funny thing is, in this story, David thinks Goliath's size is actually his biggest problem. So the big question is, how does a boutique even compete with a giant mall? Well, Douglas Elliman isn't just sitting back and complaining. Oh no. They have a very clear strategy for pulling in the exact agents and clients who might feel a little lost in that new mega firm. So here's their game plan. First up, diversify their income. They're launching services in mortgage, title, insurance, the whole package to make their business stronger. Second, go after top talent. They're targeting the best luxury agents who are looking for a more personal company. Third, control their growth. They're not trying to be the biggest, they want to keep their culture intact. And finally, number 4, double down on what they're known for, the super high-end luxury market.
And Leibowitz points to another number that he says gives them a massive advantage, a number that's all about stability and being nimble.
And that number is 0, as in zero corporate debt.
In an industry where so many of the big players are loaded up with debt, he argues that being debt-free gives them the freedom to stick to their strategy without any outside pressure.
So, what does this all mean for the future of real estate? I mean, this is bigger than just a fight between two companies. What we're watching is a real-time experiment. It's testing two totally different ideas about what a brokerage should even be in today's world. And this quote from Leibowitz just nails that philosophical split. You can't be all things to all people, even though they're claiming they are. He's making a bet here. He's betting that by trying to be everything to everyone, this new mega company is going to end up being nothing special to anyone, especially not in the luxury space. And this is the alternative they're putting on the table. They call it the high-touch experience. It's basically a promise to agents that they won't just be another number on a massive spreadsheet. Instead, they'll get one-on-one attention, they'll have direct access to the people in charge, something Leibowitz says is flat out impossible to do when you have 350,000 agents. So that leaves us with the big question. What is the future of real estate? Is it going to be dominated by a handful of these massive all-in-one giants? Or is there room for specialized high-touch boutiques to not just survive, but actually thrive right alongside them? The answer isn't just about who wins this corporate fight. It's going to redefine what it even means to be a real estate agent for years to come.